Hi, my name is Miracle Johnson, and I will be interviewing Erwin White at the LaSalle Public Library for the P&G Veterans History Project. Where and when were you born?
I was born here in LaSalle at St. Mary's Hospital, which is no longer there anymore, in July 1974.
Who are/were your parents, and what are their/were their occupations?
Bertha White, my mother, and then Earl White was my father. My mom worked a bunch of different jobs. Her last job was working at the school like right next door. It used to be called St. Pat's. She was like an aide. And then my father was in construction, and then he ended up owning his own businesses after that.
Who are/were your siblings, names and genders, which, if any, served in the military?
My oldest brother is Errol Jr. He served in the Navy. And then my second oldest brother is Eric. He's a welding instructor now in Chicago. Then me, and then my little brother. He lives in Miami. He's a concert promoter. And then my little sister, she's a registered nurse.
What were you doing before you entered service?
I was working construction, mainly roofs and stuff, but then just various like labor jobs. And then I joined the Job Corps right before I left. And then I got put on the DEP program for the military. It's like a delayed entry program. I don't know what the holdup was. So then I had to go back into construction so I can like kill time like before I actually went. So I wasn't bored. So I just worked like 8 to 10 hour days so I could just kill the time before I had to leave. And then I left eventually.
And which branch of the military did you serve?
I served in the United States Navy.
Were you enlisted or were you drafted?
I enlisted.
Why did you choose that specific branch of the military?
I've always been infatuated with water and stuff since I was a kid. So I figured, why not be on a boat, be surrounded by the ocean? So.
What happened when you departed from training camp and during your early days of training?
It was like a culture shock, kind of, sort of. But I think I had a leg up because I went to Job Corps before, and the way they run Job Corps, it's kind of like the military. So I was sort of kind of used to like how it's going to be. So I think I had it better off than most of the people that just come in and have no idea like what's going on. So.
Do you recall your instructors? If so, what were they like?
Well, every boot camp division has 2 instructors, and then in the beginning there's like a really nice one and there's a really mean one. So we always call it bad cop, good cop. So, and then towards the middle of your boot camp, they switch the roles. So the nice guy becomes the bad guy, and the bad guy becomes the nice guy. I don't know why they do that, but I remember them distinctly. But I thought they were just doing their job. So I mean, I figured it out right away, like how it was going to work. So I was kind of used to it too from being at the Job Corps. So they run it just like the military. So I was kind of, familiar with how it was going to go.
Did you receive any specialized training?
We received a lot of training. I wouldn't call it specialized, but a lot of the training that we did, I believe I received like 9 or 11 college credits. So there was like nautical, like certificates and everything. So in boot camp, you're actually earning college credits. So I didn't know how to really answer that question, but I got some like certification out of it. And then after boot camp, there was an A school, and then some people go to a B school. So I went to an A school, and then I got some certifications as well. But that was going towards my job, like when I got stationed. So, yeah.
How did you adapt to military life?
Well, for me, it wasn't really that hard because, like I said, I went to Job Corps. I think I was there for a little bit under a year, so I just got programmed. And a lot of the guys, ironically, who were your RAs, like your resident advisors, they were all ex-military. So they ran it just like the military. So I was kind of, getting used to how it was going to be. And then two of the RAs kind of just knew that I was going to end up in the military. So like they would give me advice, and I haven't had a chance to thank them, but if they're watching this video, they'll know who I am. So like they'll know who I'm talking about. But yeah, they give me a lot of good advice that I put towards like the military.
Since you served on board, what are some memories you have of that experience?
A lot of late days working, being woken up to just do various jobs, because at any time, based on like what your job is, like they can, if you're needed, they're gonna come wake you up and say get dressed, you gotta get to work. So I was just used to like being prepared for anything and everything, basically.
If you were on the front lines, what combat action did you witness?
I wasn't on the front lines per se, but we did see when the USS Cole bombing occurred. We were the closest boat that could render aid, so we were called to the scene of the USS Cole bombing. My boat was called. So.
What were some of your duties?
We just talked about this like earlier this month, and I referred myself to as being a pirate on a boat, because I did a job of like 5 people, got paid for 1, but just various duties. The 2 I can remember the most that I really enjoyed was being on the flight deck crew. That's like landing helos and stuff like that, whatever. And then the crash and salvage. That was basically you're a firefighter on a boat in case something would happen with the landing of the helo. And then I worked for S2. I worked for deck division, which is probably one of the biggest divisions on the boat. That's where you do all kinds of various jobs. I wore a lot of hats.
What kinds of friendships did you witness while you were working?
I met a lot of really cool people. I'm actually still in touch with some of them. Like we talk via email and then via phone. A couple years ago, we tried getting together a couple times, but it's just kind of hard, like when you have family and stuff, whatever. So to just be able to take off and even hang out for like a day, it's kind of rough, especially when you have a family and stuff. So, but there's reunions that come up every so often for each boat. So I was just talking to my friend from the Navy, and we were talking that the next one that's coming up that we're gonna try for sure to make it. So.
How do you stay in touch with your family and friends back home?
Well, about halfway in my enlistment, my boat, I think it's everywhere across the board, on 32nd Street Naval Station, they wanted you to have your own email account and to be able to talk to everybody back at home via email. I've never personally had an email account. I'm not really tech savvy or nothing like that, whatever. But it was cool that they wanted you to do that, because I think they figured out that like a happy sailor is a good sailor, like work ethic wise and all that, and just all around just being happy. So if they can communicate faster electronically than waiting on the mail, which when you're on a boat, it's a long process. I think that's the reason behind them wanting everybody to have email accounts. So for me, it was okay. Like I communicated with like a handful of people, you know. So made you not lonely or miss everybody. So.
What do you do when you are off duty?
I liked to, I did 2 Westpacks, so you go to different countries and stuff. So I liked to soak in the culture. I'm a huge fan of food, so I would like to try like different restaurants and stuff and see what they have to offer as far as cuisine and all that, whatever. And then if there was a beach, of course I was going to be there. And then I was into like music and stuff, so if there was like music going on, then I would go to a concert or anything that whatever that was going on in that particular place. So, for example, like we were in Australia and they had a huge like music festival that was going on. It was like probably the biggest music festival that I've ever been. So, but everybody was like from Australia, New Zealand, and a lot were like Aborigines people. So I got to hear a lot of like different cultures, types of music, whatever. So that was like one of the coolest things that I ever got to witness.
Where do you go when the war ended?
I came straight home, but I wasn't able to come right away because the day that I got out was 9/11. So you couldn't fly out of California. So I was kind of stranded in San Diego for several weeks, and then it was killing me. So I took my first class plane ticket and I went to the Greyhound, and I pretty much just walked up to the front line, told the person at the counter that I've been stranded here in San Diego for weeks, can't fly out, so I put my ticket on the counter and slid it over. I was like, I want to trade it in for the first bus ticket that's going to get me as close as I can to Chicago. And I go, and then I could find my way home from there. And they obliged me, so it was like a scary kind of situation, but I guess it all worked out. So
you returned home by the Greyhound?
By Greyhound, yes.
How were you received by your family, friends, and community?
My family was super excited because we couldn't communicate the whole time during that whole like the 9/11 thing, because I didn't have a cell phone or anything like that, whatever. So there was no communication. They didn't know what was going on. So that was the first time that when I got home, that was the first time I actually talked to everybody, whatever. So they were happy to see me. My friends were happy to see me. But like just some people in the community, I don't know. It was just like what are you doing here? Get back over there. But then these were the same people who have never served in the military and were just, I don't know, being cruel for whatever reason. They're being cruel. I'm like, I already did my service. Like, have you served? So it was like one of those deals where, I don't know, like some people just weren't very welcoming, I guess. So.
How did you readjust to your
my
civilian
life? That took a lot of work. Actually, there was a class that you took before you got out, and they were trying to help you transition from the military into the civilian life. They actually gave you a couple packets. I still have those too. I didn't think it was going to be that hard, but it was. So then when I got home, I had to meet up with a VA rep, and I don't know if he's still alive, but this is a couple of years ago. So, but when I would see him out at like veterans events or job fairs or out at the college, he would like quiz me. He'll ask me simple questions like, "What's that called?" And I'd be like, "That's a bulkhead." He's like, "No, that's a wall." I'm like, "What's that called?" And then I'd be like, "That's a scuttlebutt." He's like, "No, that's a drinking fountain." He's like, then he'll ask me other questions and I would get them right. So he's just like, "You're still got that mentality." He's like, "Working on it." He's like, "Keep working on it." He's like, and eventually you'll be able to talk normal, because in the military you use a lot of jargon. and a lot of things meant different things. They used different terminology for just everyday common basic items. So that was hard. And then like the time, the military time, I sometimes still have a problem with that, you know. So
How do you remain in contact with or reunite with your fellow veterans?
Email for now. I don't do Facebook. And then someone from my boat started it's called hallnumber.com. So you can communicate with anybody on your boat or anybody in the military in general. All you have to know is the name of the boat, the hull number, of course, because like that's the name of the website, whatever, and then it'll bring you up, and then it'll have a list of boats. You click on there, you put in what years you served, and then it narrows the search, and then you eventually find everybody that you served with, and then you can just click on, and then you can get your information that way. So, but like the core group of guys that I hung out with, like we still keep in touch. So I don't really need to use the hallnumber.com thing. That's just good for like reunion reminders, news, like new events in the Navy, like stuff that they're coming out with, like, you know, new bills that have passed, like different things that affect your GI Bill, just all this other kind of information and stuff. So,
are you a member of any veterans organizations? If so, which?
Dave, Disabled American Veterans. And then there was a couple other ones right when I first got out, but it just became a little bit too overwhelming, being bombarded with a lot of like different kind of correspondence, mail and emails and all that, whatever. So I pretty much just narrowed it down to like the most popular and like the most like effective one. So I had to pick between 3 or 4 at least, and then I chose Dave, and I had to tell the other organizations, you know, that just, you know, I want to keep it simple. So, you know, so I, from time to time, I donate to the other organizations, but like the main one is just Dave. So,
what have you done since separating from the military?
I used my GI Bill. I went to school here in town, IVCC, and then I went to for my bachelor's, I went to ISU, but it was like way too big. It was like overwhelming. So then I went to a smaller school in like the same area, whatever. And then took breaks off and on, and then ended up working for about 8 years, and then started a family, and then still thinking about doing the online thing to finish my degree. So.
How did your wartime experience affect your life?
Well, other than that the USS Cole bombing incident, I mean, there wasn't really that much wartime experience. I was just, we did a lot of training for the what if, so I'm always prepared, like for, like setting yourself up for, like, just in case of, you know. So as a matter of fact, last night I was putting all my like leftover like military stuff and all that, whatever, in like one big humongous camouflage duffel bag that I just bought on vacation, and I didn't have a bag big enough to house all my stuff, like equipment, like tools and like survival gear, I guess you can call it, whatever. So, and I just put it together last night. Actually, early this morning, I put it all together in this big, huge duffel bag. So, just always trying to be ready for whatever. So.
Did you learn any life lessons from your military service?
The main thing is you're given various tasks, various jobs to do. Whether you realize it or not, your name is attached to that job, however difficult it is or however like remedial you think it might be, but your name is on that and you're getting graded. So I did everything like 110% every job, because I knew that it's going to reflect on me as a person, and that's what they look for, like when it comes for advancement and stuff, you know, like they're going to look at you in every aspect of your, you know, not just being an enlisted person, but they're going to look at your work ethic and everything. So that's the main thing I took from that, is like everything that you do, put 110% into it, because you're being graded whether you know it or not. So.
How has your military service impacted your feelings about war and military in general?
Well, I was looking over the questions, and like, that was kind of a tough question for me to answer. I'm all for war if it's for all the right reasons. So I'll leave it at that. But then as far as the military in general, I think they're very important. Every branch of the service is important. We need them, and I think that we should be respected more, not just when you're enlisted, but especially like when you're a veteran, when you get out, you know, because not everybody makes it out. So I think they should be held with the utmost respect, and treated, you know, not so much better than everybody else per se, but just like with a little bit more respect and a little bit more like care and concern and consideration for what we do, you know. So, and I also feel that if you have like at least 3 people in your family or more, I think at least one of those children should join the military and serve. I don't know. That's just my thing. Just so that everybody across the board will have a firsthand like experience of like what exactly entails like you being in the military. So like, you know, so then everybody will be the same, and then everybody will have the same, you know, newfound respect for enlisted men and veterans and everybody in general. So.
Would you like to leave any messages for future generations that will hear this video?
When you sign up, you're basically, like our motto for the Navy was honor, courage, and commitment. Like, you have to take that into consideration, because I worked with a handful of people that just did not want to be there. So I'm thinking we all signed up, we all took the oath, we all swore in, we all did all that, whatever. So like, what makes them different than me and, you know, some of the other guys that were in there? So to me, it was just like, you know, you got to take it seriously. You know, it's not, you know, nothing that you should take lightly. You know, you're taking an oath, like you're, you know, like the honor, courage, commitment thing. Like, you got to take that like wholeheartedly. If you're not gonna do it, then don't even bother enlisting. I mean, I don't know how else really to say it. I know it sounds harsh and mean, but I mean, that's the only way I can, you know, say it, I guess.
Is there anything that you feel like we haven't discussed that should be added to this interview?
I don't think so. I think we covered everything. Unless you have any more questions for me. No? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.